What is European art cinema? A very subjective topic, and the definitions are wide and varied. Italiana states in reference to art films, in form and practice they are often defined against mainstream commercial film industries, particularly Hollywood and its standardised system. Hollywood film is traditionally character-driven. The editing and style support the narrative and has a defined conclusion or resolution. Art cinema, on the other hand, can differ in its form of storytelling. A diversion from the normal, experimentation with form, style, techniques, and often depict local or national stories. One notable film movement that displayed these qualities was German Expressionist cinema. This cinema has its roots in modernism, and in particular the Expressionist art movement, rejecting the traditional realist art forms and expressing the inner thoughts and emotions of the artist. These movements challenged existing culture. Tollett confirms, Expressionist art in practically every way seemed to suggest a protest against the norm. The cinema was no different, having a strong sense of social and political critique. Importantly, this cinema grew from a very dark place in German history. World War I left its people physically and mentally distraught, the country in economic ruin with a social and political unrest. It was in this setting German Expressionist cinema was born. Here we focus on Fritz Lang's Metropolis, an epic science fiction drama, and why its characteristics of mise-en-scène, cinematography, and its social context define it as European art cinema. The movie opens with overlays of rotating machinery and power generation. The abrupt orchestral sounds begin to synchronise with the worker's 10-hour clock with its blade-like hands. All indicate a troubling and unstable environment. The 10-hour clock is a strong symbol of the workers' oppression. Even time is altered for the workers. Harsh shift work hours often result in a dazed and distorted state of mind, functioning on autopilot, where training and repetition keep the wheels in motion. Never seeing sunlight and the absence of normal sleep patterns, the power of Metropolis dehumanises the workers to a point of becoming autonomous machines themselves, both physically and mentally. The stylised use of contrast and angular shadows help portray an internal psychological condition of the workers. The space is overwhelming in scale, bleak and unfavourable. Lang's insistence on total control of the image and his use of chiaroscuro effects of light and shadow in his film, coupled with mise-en-scène which frequently seeks to reveal a character's inner working, all serve to suggest he was an expressionist filmmaker. Here are cuts from the horrific accident scene. The camera remains fixed on shots of the workers and machinery, only showing signs of movement on Freda. We see the inner fears of Freda manifest into Moloch, and the workers are ritually sacrificed. At this moment, with a subtle tilt of the camera, the world feels unbalanced and unstable. The workers have no emotional reaction to the death and injuries of their fellow workers. They mechanically carry them off and are replaced, a reflection of events of World War I. The camera tilts back with Freda's physical position, signifying his return to reality and the machine's return to normal operation. Lang further explores the internal state of Freda. Represented by montage and various filmic techniques, he objectively shows Freda's mental breakdown and eventual descent into madness. Freda's fears are externalized with visions of death, as the capital people were seduced by robot movement. The montage narrows its focus onto the gazing eyes of the men. This style is used again during the corruption of the workers below, their faces and eyes locked in attention to the machine, showing how easy it is for all to be seduced by her imagery and power. Through demonstration of the film's social context, cinematography, mise-en-scène, and expressionist techniques, Metropolis clearly reflects the characteristics of European art cinema. It reflects the unique time and place in German cinematic history, bookended by World War I and the inevitable World War II. In some ways, Lang's film was a social warning of the future and the political situation unfolding. And in other ways, some of those warning messages are still relevant today. The film has influence spanning both in time and context across many generations, and is now recognised as one of the greats of early film, as it was originally intended to be.